guys are so nice. Oh my God. So I've been to Portland, Oregon, and now I've been to Portland, Maine. So I've been to Portland on both coasts. And I have to say that so far, East Coast winning. So this water jug contains water that I brought from Brooklyn, with New York with me. And this will become apparent as the story unfolds. No, there's really a reason for that. Okay, is anyone in this audience from New York or lived there for an extended period of time? Okay, so some of you, all right, there's a few of us. All right, so some of you might know this, for the others, this will be a revelation. So when I was growing up in New York City, it was usual and accepted for people, upon meeting you for the first time, to ask you, what are you? Which means, where are you from? As in, where are your ancestors from? And you would hear this all the time, especially at a party or any other gathering where people would be meeting for the first time. So there'd be a group of people and someone would say, what are you? And they'd be like, I'm Italian and Irish. What are you? I'm Polish and Greek. What are you? I'm Jamaican and Chinese. And then I'd be cringing because I know that I'm going to be the one asked this question next. And when someone says, what are you? And I truthfully answer that I'm Puerto Rican, it goes like this. We got one in the house besides me. Wait, you're Puerto Rican? Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. I assure you I am. I don't believe it. Well, that's okay, because most of the time my family doesn't either. Because I am the red sheep of my large, proud, and sometimes loud Puerto Rican family. I am the one that doesn't speak Spanish very well. I am the one that doesn't dance salsa very well. I am the one that doesn't do anything Latin very well. And so when I told my family that I was going to go to Paris, France to visit my friend Nadia, who had moved there, they said this. Now, my family is, let me clarify. My family is literally Mayflower for Puerto Ricans. No, for real. I know what Mayflower is up here, but for Puerto Ricans, if your family was here before the Second World War, you're Mayflower. Okay, so we've all been here for a long time. Everyone is bilingual, speaks English, you know, perfectly, but when they annoy me, as they are about to, they sound like this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Paris, France to visit my friend Nadia. Mira, Michele, why are you going to go all the way to Paris, France for? They don't like Americans there. To which I answered, well, if no one thinks I'm Puerto Rican in New York City, who the hell is gonna think I'm an American in Paris? And then I get my passport for the first time. And when I see the gold leaf stamp on the cover of the eagle that says United States of America, it was like I was seeing who I was again for the first time. Because yes, of course I knew I was a citizen of the United States, but somehow it didn't really hit me that I was part of something much larger than being a redheaded Puerto Rican from New York City until I left the country. So I get to the airport, Charles de Gaulle, Paris, France, and my friend Nadia meets me with a list of things to do and see, a map of the Paris metro, and her keys, because her job has sent her unexpectedly to Les Conferences in Dijon. And I was going to be spending most of my week in Paris alone, which scared the living hoo-ha out of me. Because I was depending on her to translate for me. And I realized at this point that the 60 words or so that I painstakingly memorized of French would mean absolutely nothing when spoken with an accent that was a cross between Carmen Miranda and Chewbacca. When I first attempted it, the person looked at me as if I had gone foo, which is crazy, and I was like, I am in deep foo-foo. So first I said to myself, okay, I'm just not going to talk at all. But you cannot not talk for 4 days. You have to ask for certain things. And besides the bonjour, bonsoir, merci, s'il vous plaît, I could just not wrap my tongue around French. So in desperation, just to get a croissant, something, anything, I started speaking in Spanish. And to my surprise and utter delight, most Parisians that I encountered spoke at least as much Spanish, if not as haltingly, even worse than I did. And so I found out that, yes, I could make myself understood. And when I ran out of Spanish, I just threw in a few words of French, creating a whole new language I called Spanish. And then an even more incredible, miraculous thing happened. Because Parisians didn't know enough Spanish to correct my pronunciation or fault me for a wrong conjugation. So without the presence of hypercritical family members around knocking me on every Miss Damn Grave accent, I found myself speaking Spanish more fluently and unself-consciously than I ever had in my life. And then Nadia came back. And to make up for leaving me alone in Paris for 4 days, she took me out for a special dinner. We went to this, I forgot the name of the bistro. It was in the Latin Quarter, or the 5th arrondissement, and served traditional, like steak frites and lapine and moutade and stuff like that I don't pronounce very well. And I was sure it was going to be delicious. So Nadia and I are sitting down looking at our menus, and I hear the last 2 words I expect to hear in Paris. Bud Light. I turn around and I see a group of middle-aged Americans, so they looked like they were couples, husbands and wives, and they were arguing, complaining with the waiter as to why, after spending an entire 7 days in Paris, France, there was no place to find a cheeseburger and a beer. A proper beer. To which the waiter said, quite truthfully, well, if you wanted Le Cheeseburger, you could have gone to Le McDonald's. To which one of the men answered, well, garçon, I didn't travel no 4,000 miles to eat at no damn McDonald's. To which garçon went, merci, smiled, walked over to the bartender, pointed back at those people sitting at the table, and went, Now, you don't need to be fluent in English, French, Spanish, or any other language to know what miming a hawk of spit in the palm of your hand means. And at first I was like, they're idiots. Later for them, because this was just like the worst stereotype of the rude, clueless American ignorant tourist, right? And I figured, well, let them get what they deserve. But then I'm looking at them and I'm watching them, and something kind of like changed inside of me. I thought about the passport with the stamp, with the eagle, United States of America, and instead of seeing these crude, ignorant people, I saw myself. I saw it every time that I had been bullied or threatened or made to feel less than because of who I was and what I was. And suddenly I felt the urge that I had to defend all of us. So I get up and Nadia says, Michelle, have you gone fou? I said, yes, I am crazy, but I'm going over there to fight. So I go over to the waiter and I say to the waiter, tú no puedes crasher rouler dans their comida. And the waiter says to me, do you speak English? And I say, yes, I heard what you said and I saw what you did, and you cannot spit in their food. And the waiter looks at me and says, what do you care? They are just stupid American. Where are you from? And I said, well, I'm American too. And he looks me up and down and up and down and sideways. And he says, vous are no American. Where are you from? What are you? All my life I'd suffered this question. And there just wasn't time for us to sit down at a little bistro table and open up a bottle or two of Lillet and Sancerre so I could tell him the entire history of the Caribbean and the United States, and how it's a beautiful cultural rainbow mosaic of peoples and cultures and languages, and we're all this amazing mix of the conquered and the conqueror, and I'm trying to get this together in my head, and the waiter says, where are you from? What are you? And I just looked at him and I burst out the only thing I could think of. I'm from Brooklyn. And the waiter looks at me up, down, and sideways, and he goes, bah! Brooklyn is not America. But I will not spit in their food. So I go back to Nadia, and I'm like, yes, Puerto Ricans in Paris, 1 million, Claude Roux tourists, nothing! And I enjoyed the dinner, the horse steak. Oh my God, Anglais Cheval, it was the best horse steak I ever friggin' had. Oh my God, and the bunny with mustard sauce, oh, it was so good. And I get home, and I tell my family that from this moment on, I am proud to speak Spanish like the American that I am. And for the rest of yous, you may be a rude, clueless, ignorant fool, but if you're fellow Americans, I will defend to my last breath your right to be a rude, clueless, ignorant fool. However, as a fellow American, you have to suffer my right to call you out on that. And for the rest of my life, forever, whenever asked me where I'm from, the answer is forever, Brooklyn. Which I have on the good Parisian authority is most certainly not America. Cheers.